This is not a normal podcast. Look around. We're on an island in the James River in downtown Richmond. Sharps Island, it's called. People camp here, fish here, party here. For over 200 years, Richmonders have built structures on this island. Inevitably, those structures were washed away, but the Richmonders, like myself, keep coming back, keep building, trying to gain a foothold. Why? For us, the water that surrounds Sharps Island isn't a barrier, it's a threshold, a doorway to a magical place. This acre of rock and sand surrounded by the city, yet somehow completely secluded. On this podcast, our guests have to get in a boat and leave the world behind. I hope you'll come with them. What's new, man? Getting ready for the season. Yeah, seriously. Oh, look at that. Osprey just got a fish right in front of us. Right up in the rapids right there. Yeah, flying away. That's so great. Like now is the time, man. There's blue herons everywhere, ospreys. We made it. I mean, we're no Charon, but not bad. Yeah, just pull that up a tiny bit. And this is no river Styx. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. Whew. Thanks, brother. Thanks for making the time. The last time you were here, you had to rescue me from the roof of the cabin. Remember that?
I had a cape on.
I still sometimes think about like what exactly I would have done. Do you know Michael Phillips? The Richmonder. He's the editor-in-chief of the Richmonder, the new news outlet. The Hobbit Hole. Still haven't named it.
It's great.
Look.
I haven't seen it in person.
Rebuilt the kitchen, the bar. That was jacked up completely during that flood like 3 months ago. And there was a river birch right over there, like on the other side of the cabin that came down. So we repurposed those. Check out the studio. Bro, just like our treehouse.
This is incredible.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah, it is really cool.
Some friends here to greet us
Yeah,
of the wasp variety.
it's really cool.
Sweet, huh?
I walk around.
Yeah. You want to do the tour? The last time Matt was out here was a little over a year ago. It was a windy day. I was roofing this thing.
Yeah.
And
What is that? It's got to be 8 feet.
my ladder, you gotta stop. It's 12 at minimum. The ladder blew over and it was like cold and windy, and apparently I was misjudging the,
It looks much higher.
it looks much higher from up there. And if you don't jump the first time you think about it,
You're not-
you are not jumping.
That's true.
So I literally had to call Matt. He paddled over from Riverside and put the ladder back up and then left. And I was like, here you go, loser.
like literally it's like getting a cat out of it.
Oh, so good. Okay, folks, today we have a certified outdoors legend on Sharps Island. Matt Perry has been the captain of the ship at Riverside Outfitters for 20, how many years is it?
It's
20?
my 19th season.
19th season.
Yeah.
Matt and I go way back. We co-hosted a pre-COVID podcast in my treehouse. The Times-Dispatch named us the best podcast of the
They
year.
did?
In 2019.
They sure did.
And, things have been great for the Times-Dispatch ever since, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Matt, we were good together.
It was great.
Does that seem like yesterday or 100 years ago?
Yesterday,
It does feel like yesterday.
to me. I have a digital photo frame
Right.
in my living room,
Right.
and that's one of the pictures of you and I holding up our.
cycles through?
Yeah, and it
Right.
cycles through, and every time I see it, I just like, man, that was so awesome.
That was fun. All right, I want to go back to Riverside's kind of origin story. I realize we never talked about that in the podcast. You've been there 19 years, but it's a little bit older, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you tell us about Riverside Outfitters, how it got started?
Sure. So I think it was 2005,
Right.
like spring 2005,
Okay.
and Scott Turner, who also owns True Timber Tree Care Service,
Right.
and did back then as well, was looking for a way to kind of create like a portal into the park system,
Right.
almost like a ranger station at like national parks or whatever.
Right.
Since there was really no central place where you can get information about the James River Park system.
Okay.
And he cared deeply about it, and he thought that if you got more people out there caring deeply about it, then they take care of it.
Right.
So anyway, they rented that old farmhouse on Old West Ham Road in Stratford Hills.
Right.
And in the back was where his tree company operated out of, and in the front was Riverside Outfitters. And back then, that first year, 2005. They were like renting kayaks.
Right.
They could put them on people's cars and people would
Okay.
take them wherever. And then they had a couple mountain bikes, and they had a couple canoes, and then they did tree climbing. So recreational tree climbing.
Right.
And that's something that Scott, I think, was kind of a pioneer on, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like he saw how you could use a lot of the same climbing systems they used in tree work.
In
and
arbor,
in arborist work, and you could tailor them to fun kids activities.
Okay.
And so they had.
So there was no commercial rafting for you guys.
No
at
commercial
first.
rafting. No,
Okay.
no. And
Was-
then, yeah.
Sorry. But commercial rafting did exist in
It
Richmond
did.
at that point. Do you know, what was it, Richmond Raft Company?
Yes,
Were they
yep.
the sort of the pioneer in terms of commercial rafting, or was there anyone before
I would say
them?
that they mainstreamed it.
Okay.
Like there were other companies before them.
Really?
James River Experience is one that comes to mind.
Okay.
Like back in the late 70s, maybe.
Oh, wow.
But I would say Richmond Raft was the one that really kind of mainstreamed it for Richmond.
Okay. So people, even before then, for decades, have been trying to figure out how to make it a business of getting people on the out in the James River, the Falls of the James.
Yeah,
basically.
totally. Yeah.
So then you came in. Was that sort of your first contribution, main contribution? That was your
That's
decision,
exactly right. So,
Yeah.
so 2007, 2 years later, I left Capital One and joined Scott at at Riverside, and right at that time, Richmond Raft was in this big dispute with the city over the city's choice to implement a permit system, where as long as you
Okay.
were an insured, licensed commercial outfitter,
Right.
then you could operate on the river. Before then, Richmond Raft had a concessionaire's license where they had
Okay.
basically a monopoly on it.
Wow.
Nobody else could.
They were the only ones who
could
could-
run inflated trips on or with inflated craft.
Okay.
Rafts tubes, and so. Yeah, there was a big spat about that, and they didn't want to lose their monopoly, of course. And the rest of us were like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a public asset. Why can't we play?"
Right. Doesn't really
and
make
so-
sense that they should have had that in the first place.
Yeah, and then the irony is, in like looking back, 19 seasons, later, if they would have stayed, I'm not sure we even would have made it because they had such a, and they just had
They just exited the market. They were like,
he
without
just
the monopoly.
left, and they were like, amazing. So I basically decided that we were gonna approach some of his more senior trip leads and senior
Right,
folks,
right.
bring them over, have them kind of copy and paste his operation and his way of doing things, since it worked out, since it had worked so well up to that point.
So for like maybe a season there was nobody running commercial rafts. This is around 2005?
So 2000, he was running up through 2006.
Right.
And then in 2007, he decided not to. 2007, we started.
Okay.
And we
so you didn't even
started-
let the first summer go. You were like, no, we got to hit this.
just jumped in.
Yeah.
And we jumped in with 2 rafts and an old pickup truck that my brother-in-law gave me,
my God.
and like a landscaping trailer that True Timber let us borrow.
Okay.
And we would put the rafts in like sideways, like cattywampus, and
Right.
that was our rafting operation. But for
God.
us, like compared to everything else we were doing, like
Right.
renting and tree climbing at that point,
Right.
it was like gold.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great.
So the demand was there.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like people wanted to raft on the James and Richmond.
Totally.
I remember because I moved to Richmond right after college in 2000, and I remember hearing, that Richmond was the only city in America with, class 4 whitewater in city limits. So obviously, like, it makes sense. The demand was there. Is that still the case? Like, is Richmond still really the only place you can do what you guys do?
I mean, I would say yes, but I mean, technically, there's one other city in Columbus, Georgia, where they kind of demolished an old dam.
Okay.
And that created a standing wave, a class 4 wave.
Right.
But I mean, sure.
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
A city of this size.
Richmond is so unique, still super unique in that regard.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, even it's funny to think about Richmond Raft Company because now the demand is there to support 2 companies doing commercial rafting, right? RVA Paddle Sports.
And it does, yeah.
What does that say about the resource, right? I mean, it doesn't seem like people are any less. I don't know. What do the numbers tell you as someone who's been doing this for 20 years? is the interest and demand still there for people to come and use this resource?
Yeah, it's grown.
And to spend time. Yeah,
it's grown. It's grown as the reputation of Richmond as a kind of artsy, outdoor adventure foodie scene.
Right.
As that whole they kind of just build on each other.
Right.
And as that whole kind of Richmond as a destination arc has unfolded, then. Right. I would say we have definitely seen growth in the number of people who come to Rich. So there's two different types of visitors. There's a visitor that just swings by because they're on their way somewhere else,
right?
Or they're in town for something else, like a wedding,
right.
And then there's the visitor who comes here specifically to raft,
right?
And both of those populations have grown for us.
Right.
The second faster than the first. The number, percentage wise, the number of people who are coming here specifically to raft and do stuff on the river and make that the centerpiece of their vacation has increased significantly. Yeah.
Do you happen to know? I'm curious of those numbers. Do you know them off the top of your head? How many people do you put on the river?
I mean, about 4,000 a year.
A season.
A season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it is seasonal, right? You close in the fall, open back up in the spring.
Open back up April 1st. It's basically April through September.
4,000 people, not 4,000 trips, no.
4,000 people.
And you're one of two companies doing it. So
sure.
The total number is more.
Yeah.
What about tubing? You guys rent tubes and do that kind of stuff. How many people do that?
Yeah, about 1,500 a summer. So they're both I would say they're both vibrant businesses, and the industry is still strong and again getting stronger as Richmond's reputation continues to grow.
Has the business model changed at all? I mean, you hear so many businesses talk about this sort of pre and post COVID reality.
Yeah.
Is there anything different about what you do?
Yeah, there's a lot different. So pre-COVID, it was all about, and this isn't COVID's fault or the ensuing inflation.
Yeah.
It's not the fault of that either. They certainly were huge factors, but we were at that point. We were about 13 years in or so, 14 years in, and I had definitely bought the adage that growth is life in business. And if you're not growing, then you're shrinking, and you're going to die.
Right.
And so it was all about growth. Try to do it responsibly and try to do it in a way that makes sense, but it was still all about growth.
Right.
And you had people, and then every time you grow, you increase your staff, and that staff wants to stay, employed year round.
Right.
So then you got to find things for them to do year round and keep them employed. And
in a seasonal business.
In a seasonal business. So we grew to the point where we were 7 full-time year round salaried people in a tiny seasonal business.
Right.
And so it got onerous. And I think COVID and then inflation after that was a bit of a wake-up call where how quickly could you respond to existential threats like that? And when you have that much overhead, the answer was not terribly quickly.
Right.
And so anyway, we decided to restructure the business to be more nimble and to be more focused.
Right.
And so we sold off things like our firewood business and rentals, boat rentals, and really just got it down to rafting, flat water kayaking, which we can do out of our location at 14th Street, and tubing. On the Riverside, and then we still have the youth program with camps and after school programs. But even in that, and trying to get to the point where the people who started that and who have been running it basically for as long as it's been in existence have an opportunity to buy it and run it as their independent business.
The camps specifically.
The camps, which would leave us then just focused purely on the river activities.
On water.
In one location with everything we need in that one location. So for a while there, we were in two locations. Some of the operation was up in Stratford Hill still, and part of it was down here at 14th Street. So that's all to say that we have simplified pretty significantly and tried to streamline things to a point where it's, quite frankly, just kind of lighter and more enjoyable again.
Right.
And less onerous and I don't know, just weighty.
And yet there is still, you still have to compete, right?
Yeah.
There are other competitors in the market.
Yep.
Are there challenges? I would imagine COVID was constant, challenges that kept you up at night. But what sort of keeps you up at night now? What are the challenges of running the business that is Riverside Outfitters that you think is sort of here's what I got to figure out today?
That's a good question. So there's two halves of the business, right? Basically, there's supply and demand, and the supply side are all the stuff that is all the stuff that we control.
Right.
Staffing, equipment,
Right.
Programming,
Right.
All that kind of stuff.
Marketing,
Training, marketing.
getting the word out. Right?
Yes, we can get the word out, but then the other half of the business, the
Right.
demand half, you don't really control, which is like
Right.
you set the table beautifully, but people still have to come show up and eat
Right.
in order
Right,
to
right.
enjoy it, you
Right.
know? And you work so hard because I mean, part of my passion is setting a really good table.
Yeah.
And you work really hard to do it, and then you're basically subject to things like river conditions.
Right.
Like last summer
Weather.
with the pipe leak.
Yeah, I was going to get to that.
That was enjoyable, and then weather,
Right.
and economic conditions,
Right.
political uncertainty that impacts economic
Right.
conditions. So yeah, you're just like, so what keeps me up at night is one, are the people going to come back and eat again at least as much as they did last year, if not more?
Right.
And after 18 years, you think I would have learned my lesson. Like they always come back,
Right.
But it still feels scary.
Right.
And then I guess the second thing is it's still a risky business, in
Right.
terms of physical risk.
Right.
You have the physical risk
Right.
of your staff. You have the physical risk of your customers.
Right.
I don't stay awake at night worrying about that stuff, but I always am thinking about how to institutionalize that risk management so it's
Right.
part of the culture.
Right.
So yeah, I think those are two of the things I think about most.
Right. I would imagine any small business owner, like the sense of uncertainty is constant. But thinking about the list that you just rattled off, like what you deal with from weather, and then all of a sudden, the pipeline, right? The pipe that gives Pipeline Rapid its name.
Yeah.
What was that? The second time in the last 5 years that it pulled a hammy and,
Yeah, and you
dropped feces into the river.
we knew the second time we know of.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that's got to be like what's that like when you hear like, oh my God, now, and you knew because you've dealt with it before.
Yeah.
The word's gonna get out. There's poo in the river.
Yeah.
What do I do?
I mean, I think as a small business owner, you get really good at just like thinking on your feet and problem solving and trying
Right.
to figure out how to pivot.
Right.
And like reframe things.
Right.
Because the constraints are always changing. But yeah, like that, it's like, all right, so we can't do that, but what can we do?
Right.
Like, how do we salvage this?
Let's
And
go back
then how do you communicate about that?
Yeah, go back and give me the details of that again.
Sure.
When was it last summer?
No, just July 4th weekend, which
Nobody wants to get on the water
which
then.
is historically not a busy weekend for
Right,
us at all.
right.
Yeah, it was like beginning of July.
Right.
Lasted a couple weeks, a couple weekends, which
There
is
was-
key
there was
for us.
what,
and
a
there
break
was a
in the
breach.
pipe?
There was a breach basically right at third drop, between third and fourth drop.
Right.
There's a breach.
Which is right
I have the video
downtown.
if you'd like to see it.
Oh, yeah. Of poo coming
and
out?
Of water coming out. And
Yeah.
so like two things happen. One is, I don't know, the pump that has been at Browns Island for years now,
Right.
that is supposed to be pumping the contents of those pipes,
Right.
CSO.
It's a sewer pipe.
It's a sewer
Yeah,
pipe. Up and away from that old decrepit pipe at Pipeline.
Right.
It failed. Someone it's something crazy.
So they had already
somebody
routed
forgot to
around
put
it.
diesel in it, and it just like failed. And so they were routing around it. Exactly
Okay.
right. The pump failed. Stuff started going through that pipe again. Problem number one. They get the pump back online pretty quickly, but then I don't know. They try to in different ways to seal it up also.
Right.
But I don't think those really were like ironclad.
Right.
And then we had a lot of water, a lot of rain in that time frame,
Right.
and they had basically backwash from the retention
The
field,
holding tank, right,
the holding
the-
tank,
right.
basically backwash. Like it has to go somewhere.
Right. It went back into that pipe.
And so it goes back into that pipe and back up and was draining out again. They're like, how the hell is that possible?
Right.
And like, well, because it's backwash.
So this is a couple of weeks in July.
A couple weeks in July, we lose, somewhere between like 25 to 30,000 that we know about, and that's just the people that cancel. That doesn't include the people who read the articles and never booked.
Right.
So yeah, that was brutal.
So I would imagine there's no amount of like messaging, marketing that can convince some people, like,
No.
look, they hear,
Right,
no,
so-
I'm not rafting in a feces-strewn river.
Or tubing, even though it's up in
tubing.
Pony Pasture 6 miles upstream,
Right.
and water doesn't flow upstream, as it turns out. They're not buying it, and I get it. They're just like, forget it.
Right.
And
James
so-
River and
James
sewer.
River, toxic, forget it.
I mean, it is totally does not compare, but I had the same thing happen here. If you look at the map, there's a bunch of islands blocking it, and people just canceled their trips. I was like, I don't want to go out on an island, be surrounded by the thought.
Yeah.
But like, if you look at what the poo would have to do to get up here, it's not
Impossible.
here. It's impossible.
Yeah,
but,
right.
And you're right. I don't blame people because it's like, dude, that's gross.
Right. Exactly right. So then, you tell them that you're going to take out, we're going to take out upstream of it. So we don't go near it. And they're like, no.
Right.
So, I don't know. You just muddle through it the best you can.
I know. I can't imagine there are many other business owners that deal with something like that. Then you throw on top the weather.
Yeah, and super low water last summer.
And super low water.
And you're like, low water with sewage.
Right.
That doesn't sound like a great product.
Right.
But I mean, luckily the river recovers quickly, and
do you spend the summer like
you can
praying
salvage
to
it.
your Andrew Frieden bobblehead doll, like, hey dude, I need some rain, but not too much rain.
I'm done. I used to worry about it. I wake up it's the same thing with having the shop where we have it in the parking lot over on 14th Street.
Right.
I pull into the parking lot every day, like, all right, how many bus windows are going to be smashed? Just like brace yourself. Just brace yourself. And that's kind of what it is with the conditions. You're like, you can't get phased by it. You just take it in stride. And you're like, all right, so let's pivot.
Right.
And let's figure out what we're going to do.
How do we solve
and
this
part of that's fun,
and
and cool problem solving, and some of it is really frustrating.
Right. All right, so the pipe issue was last summer.
Yeah.
Where are we now?
So they've taken that whole pipe completely offline now.
Right.
And they've actually welded caps over both ends of it, so it is impossible.
And isn't that its own issue now? Like, if they closed the pipeline park, which is
now they're like, well, what do we do with the pipe?
Right.
It's empty. It's going to be empty forever.
Right.
Thankfully.
Right.
It's obviously underneath the CSX railroad.
Right.
So that's kind of their right of way, I believe.
Right.
Although the city owns the pipe, so all I know is for now, the pipeline, the gates to get on pipeline,
the walkway itself
they're still open.
Okay.
And you can use that pipeline to access those beaches just like you would.
Just like you could last summer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's great.
But the sort of long-term use of the walkway is sort of still to be determined.
Yeah, exactly right.
Does, we used to have this conversation with different guests on our old podcast. Does the average Richmonder, I think about, like, what your business offers and people climbing at Manchester Wall and mountain biking, buttermilk, and hiking. And, I mean, right now, we could look downstream and see 24 boats, people fishing for striped bass. Does the average Richmonder realize how good they have it here, or just how unique this place is?
That I think that has grown tremendously. I have seen that grown tremendously in the last 18 years. Yeah. I think they do.
Yeah.
More or less.
Right.
Whereas 18 years ago, it's like, definitely not.
Right.
So the number of times I hear just anecdotally, like, oh my God, I can't believe we've lived here our whole lives and have never done this.
Right.
Like, you don't hear that much anymore.
Interesting.
And you get a lot more people who are like bringing family who are in from out of town. Like last weekend, 2 weddings, both those wedding parties brought their family to come rafting.
That's cool.
It's like it feels like it's more like an integral part of people's kind of entertaining, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I meant to ask you before, where are people coming from to raft? Like, where I don't know, let's say the top 3 sort of destinations people come from.
So 80% of our customers come from Virginia.
Somewhere in the state.
Okay. And of those, the majority within Virginia, the majority come from the Richmond metro area.
Okay.
Second biggest is Tidewater area.
Not DC.
Not DC.
Interesting.
And then third, DC and like Northern Virginia.
Right.
And then like outside of Virginia, like that other 10% outside of Virginia, it's kind of all over. It's like Raleigh, New Jersey, all over the place.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, 10-20% though, that's a big. Those have got to be fun conversations to, like, how do those people hear about rafting or Richmond generally?
I mean, however they hear about Richmond in general. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like Google search and
people
stuff.
Like
what's there to do in Richmond?
Right.
And So, yeah, we do get the people that we get from out of town are a lot of fun because you get to play concierge, which I love. It's like one of the, it probably is the favorite part of my favorite part of the job.
Right.
You're like, oh, so you're coming in like on the phone.
Right.
So you're coming in from out of town. Like, oh, like, have you thought about hotels? There's like 2 of them right around the corner from us.
Right.
You got to go to Edo Squid. You know, like
that kind of thing.
You get to do stuff that's, I don't know, because you know how. You and I talk about this all the time, like how many cool things there are to do in Richmond, but how hard it is to know that.
Right.
And part of it is it's cool that it's hard to know because it's off the beaten path still, some of those places, but you know, it's also very exciting to help people discover that stuff.
Yeah, you've always been so into the like mountain biking and cycling scene. Is there like a sort of under the radar Richmond adventure that either you recommend to people or it's too good, you don't recommend it, but you keep it for yourself?
Yeah, that's
what have you been up to?
It's a good question. I think this is, you'll hear this from other people, so I feel like I'm stealing it a little bit, but I like it. I mean, like snorkeling. Tell people just to bring a snorkel mask and go snorkel in Pipeline, especially below, you know, like around that third drop area. It's so much fun. And the stuff you can see is incredible.
Like in the summer when the water's low?
When the summer's low, when the water's low, and it's easy to kind of get out there and get back to the bank.
Is that like Catfish Alley
Catfish
area?
Alley is kind of around the corner from that, which is also super cool.
There, easy to get
you want to go, yeah, it is easy to get to. You want to go when the water's a little higher because then it turns into almost like a kill zone over there when the water's really low. It's warm and all the birds are just waiting for
fish.
Food.
But so you snorkel. What are they saying? What are people seeing? They go get a snorkel.
You see catfish, cool turtles. You'll see like long-nosed gar. Yeah, it's. I mean, sometimes you'll see stripers.
That's cool.
And yeah, it's just fun to see decent-sized fish in a section of like pretty cool, I would say very impressive whitewater, where you could like stand up and be up to your waist, you know, so it's so
that'd be a cool thing to do with kids too.
Yeah, totally. We call it like a frog's view of the river, where you can kind of like you have a mask on and half your mask is above water and half is below water, and you can kind of see both. You know,
that's cool.
For kids, it's kind of a neat thing to do. But yeah, that's a really cool place. I mean, now that Pipeline's coming. I mean, now that Texas Beach they're going to repair that bridge, and you can get back over there. That's always a great place, like upstream of Texas Beach.
Especially if you hate clothing.
If you hate clothing, and as a middle-aged man who hates clothing, you'll find me. No, but it's that's a beautiful place. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many cool places on the river.
You've gotten into long-distance cycling, right?
Yeah,
that's your thing. Where are you going this summer?
This summer I'm going to work. And back home.
So no big trip. I know in the past couple summers.
Not until the cool thing about having like resized the business and really kind of made it smaller is I truly get to like turn the sign around at the end of the season and be like, see you next year. And we don't have to like roll right into like firewood season or whatever. And so at the end of the season last fall, and I'll do the same thing this fall, I hop in our family van and drive out to Durango where my daughter lives, and do a lot of mountain biking and then some overnight like bike packing trips out there. I'll do the same thing this fall. And then eventually I would like to get into more long distance bike touring trips, but it's just like while she's out there and I only see her once a year, it seems kind of silly to go see one of my 3 favorite people in the world and one of my probably favorite places in the world and like not take advantage of that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right, I've got some. One of the ways we had fun. Do you remember the final like 5 questions we would do with guests on our podcast?
Yeah, we stole it from James Lipton.
That's right. I think about his face and I start laughing. That guy, Lipton.
Yeah.
So I don't know that these will be like the 5 going forward, but I came up with some fun, hopefully some fun ones.
Awesome.
So let's see what we got. Awesome. All right, so you are marooned on Sharps Island.
Okay, which is where we are right now.
For a week, yeah. It's like, consider this a desert island.
Okay, got it.
Right, like a New Yorker cartoon.
Okay.
You have to spend 3 people. You got to pick 3 people to spend the week with. A minimum one of them has to be a celebrity.
All right, so, I mean, the easy answer, of course, would be my wife and 2 kids.
But you can't.
But
one has to be a celebrity.
One has to, I mean, my son was on The Daily Show.
He was on The Daily Show?
Remember the whole Obama thing?
No, I don't remember.
That's a whole other story. Anyway.
All right, let's say he doesn't count for purposes of this conversation.
I'm going to go with 3 non-family members, just to keep it interesting.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's see.
Sorry, Stephanie.
Sorry, Steph. Yeah. Did they have to be living?
No, let's say no. Let's bring them back.
Okay, let's bring them back.
Okay, Pee Wee Herman. That's a good start.
Seems like an odd first choice, but that is one. I'll go, let's see, 3 people. I would say John Lennon.
Okay, ooh. Yoko Ono.
Definitely not Yoko. She gets the hard, yeah.
No one has ever chosen
the
both
hard
of them.
denial.
Yeah, exactly.
No, never, ever. I'll go like a friend of mine in town who I think would be a lot of fun to spend that time with and knows the river and like would teach me a lot of cool things to do. That would be Ben Moore.
Oh yeah, yeah, waterfront.
Yep, at Waterfront. And then...
And I bet he's excited to meet John Lennon at that point when he shows up to the island.
He would be pretty stoked,
Yeah,
I think he would be.
That's pretty cool.
And then my dad, who's passed away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, give me one good dad joke.
Bear and the rabbit are taking a crap in the woods, and the bear leans over to the rabbit and says, "You have trouble with the crap sticking to your fur?" And the rabbit says, "No." And the bear says, "Oh, good." And he picks up the rabbit and wipes his butt with it.
That's amazing. And I was super excited about this one that my daughter taught me. Can I
Yeah,
continue?
please. I obviously need another one. I've been telling that joke for like 15 years.
That was
25
so good.
years.
I know this one is now that joke, but now I'm stealing that one.
Okay.
What's the leading cause of dry skin?
I don't know.
Towels.
That's a better dad joke.
No, it's terrible.
I heard a funny joke yesterday.
Yeah, go.
Funny being from New Jersey. So why did... I just gave you the punchline, but why do New Yorkers not want to see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Why?
Because it's Jersey.
It's Jersey. That's good. As a Philadelphian, obviously.
Yeah, clearly.
I can appreciate that.
I figured you'd appreciate it.
Have you ever asked anyone for their autograph?
Yeah.
Who's the most recent one you asked for their autograph?
Wow.
I guess the corollary is like, who are you a fanboy of? Who would you ask for their autograph?
Yeah. Did you say corollary?
Yeah, you're gonna have to Google that when we get done. I can't.
I can't. Corollary?
I mean, do you say corollary?
Corollary?
Corollary? I think
that's not even a word.
For now, we're gonna go with my pronunciation.
Do I have to speak in in a British accent when I answer?
Yes. I mean, especially.
I remember going to a Memphis Grizzlies. I'll answer this too. I remember going to a Memphis Grizzlies basketball game when my kids were young, and my buddy Brendan Brown, his dad coached there, Hubie Brown.
Oh yeah.
And Brendan was on the bench coaching too. We went down. We got to meet these famous people, you know, and sitting right next to Shane Battier's wife. And so I think I'm pretty sure we got Shane Battier's autograph.
Okay.
So that's one.
Former Duke legend.
Yeah, Duke legend. Fanboy. Who am I a fanboy of? I'm kind of Gregory Alan Isaacoff, the singer.
Okay.
Very much a fanboy of him. I would love to get his autograph.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we did it.
Okay.
Appreciate you making the time.
My pleasure.
My
pleasure. This place is very cool.
We'll send you on our way with a complimentary canoe, but we're gonna need you to send it back. Yeah, you're on your own.
Yeah, we'll see
on
about
the other
that.
side. Once you leave the island, you're on your own.
I want a copy of this.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sweet. We can figure out why exactly the rapids are the way they are.
It's great.
Yeah, it's all about geology.
Are you going to go into like obscure geology information from college? Like
these were things I knew.
Flex some geology
Remember
knowledge.
college though, like oh, I majored in this. Remember, those are things you knew. Those are not things you know anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know what your major was. What was your major?
Marketing.
Yeah. Well, you definitely use that.
I still use it.
You definitely
horribly,
use it.
but I use it. Yeah.
That's exciting. I'm excited. This is gonna be fun.
You know what I got? We'll have to do, if you want to, maybe it ties into one of your episodes one time if you get Ben in here, but he and I do a diner. We have like our little diner club where we go out like every other week. We pick a diner and we have breakfast, and we each bought sweet-ass tracksuits. I got this blue velour tracksuit, and I got the little like newsboy hat.
I have a velour tracksuit.
Do you really?
Yes.
That is the only admission criterion.
Are you serious?
Yes.
So
we have tracksuits, and we just go eat at like Moore Street or whatever.
There was a company called Sweatcedo.
Okay.
That we, my college friends, for our, I think it was my bachelor party, like getting married, we all got Sweatcedos for the bachelor party. So there's
What's a
pictures.
sweatsuit?
It's a velour tracksuit. It's a joke, like tuxedo, but in sweat clothing.
Yes.
You know, like.
Doesn't have like tuxedo?
No. It
Okay.
looks like a velour tracksuit,
Okay, great,
but
yeah.
they called it. So anyway, the sweatsuitos were, and so we all went to Vegas in our sweatsuitos. Like there's pictures of us
Love it.
in a elevator in the MGM Grand with Carrot Top. The doors open. And Carrot Top gets on, and he sees all these dudes in their sweatsuits. He's like, "Y'all,
It's
what
fabulous.
are you doing?"
I was expecting to get a little shock value, and I told Stephanie about it, and she was kind of like, "Oh God," but then she saw, and she's like, "I want one." Like for real.
amazing.
Like I think people really wear those things around now because they're like really comfortable or something. I don't know.
Mine, there's
I did it
no
as a
way
joke,
I could
but-
wear it. It would have to be cold out. Like it's
Yeah, it's pretty thick.
It's pretty thick.
Yeah, mine's too thick for the summer.